Oh, God. Well, hello, everybody. What is happening, Blades? Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. That threw me then. I was expecting to see my face on screen. It just wasn't there. I didn't put myself in. So I was just enjoying my intro a little bit too much. Anyway, how are we all? Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Thank you to everybody for their kind comments on my recent What Really Happened with the Prince interview video. Listen, here on the Ramble, this is what we try and do all the time, isn't it? Just as you've just seen, we don't pretend to be fully polished, and I'm not a professional. Everything you see is self-taught, and the reason we've got to where we are in terms of popularity or whatever it might be, the amount of subs, is because we've had support from people along the way, such as you good selves. So thank you for that. Thank you for the feedback. I wanted to give an honest reflection of genuinely what happened with Prince Abdullah, and that is exactly what you saw in that video. So, yeah, it might have been what you expected. It might not have been. But thank you to everybody that's taken the time to watch it and comment. It's only a short one if you haven't seen it. I think it's about 10 minutes. But, yeah, probably worth a watch if you found the interview interesting. So, I've not been live for a little while, not too long. I'm not going to leave it too long between things. But, again, on a similar theme, I don't just want to be putting out videos for the sake of putting out videos. Although January is one of my favorite times of year, just for the I love it. I love all the rumors. I love how people tend to panic. And that is a little bit about what the video is about today, because, wow, I see people, and look, I don't normally jump into comments until later. I'll usually go on a bit of a ramble, believe it or not. But one of the first comments, Chirac, listen, we've had our problems in the past, but Chirac is quite negative on some things about how the club's run, and that's absolutely fine, because it's no problem having a different opinion. It's all about having different inputs, but it's how you put it out there, isn't it? So Chirac says our transfer window and the players we're linked with is very, very poor. No surprise at all. A complete and utter crap show from top to bottom. It is what it is. We are what we are, and that's in a very bad place. Now, that is probably one extreme of people's views, but I also see people already. Kipper, top Rambler, can't see what the upgrade is in bringing Ward in. What else have we got? And I will come back to these properly and give you comments at the time. John, one of our biggest supporters, please tell me the Danny Ward rumour is nonsense. Please, I'd sooner have Wes. Ollie, if Danny Ward comes in, that's a joke. Right. Okay. So before we get into everybody's comments properly, I just need to try and calm people down a little bit, because listen, please don't. I'll always come on and tell you if I've got a little bit of something to tell you. This is more just a general discussion about transfers and what I think might happen. I've not got any real news and updates for you, but I'll get you up to speed with where I think what we know. So, first of all, we know that in terms of Chirac's comment that the window's been atrocious, what do we know? We know that Benny Traore's gone. He's gone on loan with an option to leave permanently. And we know that Harrison Neal has left permanently. 22, going on 23-year-old, come through our academy. It's a shame that he hasn't quite made the grade, but he hasn't, unfortunately. So those are our two definite outs. The in is Ben Brereton Diaz. On loan, appreciate it. It's a short-term signing, but definitely improves us. And we're 10 days in. We need a lot. Sheffield United need a lot. I'm not trying to defend what's taken place. I would love to have had a goalkeeper in already. But it's the changes that we've made so far are positive. Look, how many people last week were panicking that Kasper Schmeichel were going to be our new goalkeeper? Or even just thinking that Kasper Schmeichel were going to be our new goalkeeper. I didn't want Schmeichel in, but that's just my opinion. I wanted Victor Johansson or Michael Cooper on a permanent. Now, Danny Ward gets circulated, and everybody's like, oh, no, we don't want Leicester's third choice goalkeeper. What an absolute nightmare signing that'd be. Right, well, so firstly, Danny Ward has not signed for Sheffield United. He's not signed yet, has he? So just because, and this is no slight at people like Alan Nixon, because They're all very well-respected journalists, people that put these things out. Until it's done, it's not done, is it? I can tell you, honestly, I would love it. No, I can tell you honestly, we have spoken to loads of goalkeepers, loads. And the reason I'm not chucking loads of names out at people is because it's probably changed day to day. Goalkeeper is such an important position. I think we can all agree on that. We need to get it right. I would rather we took a little bit longer in getting the right goalkeeper in. We don't play for another 11 days. I would rather we took a little bit longer to get the right deal done than scramble and get something done now. We need to bring Kasper Schmeichel in now, because otherwise, if Danny Ward comes in, we're all panicking. If Danny Ward comes in, and I'm not convinced Danny Ward will come in by any means, but if Danny Ward comes in, then I will trust Chris Wilder's judgment on who he brings into the club. And there's a bit of an asterisk with that because he has had some bad signings in the past. But where I'm going with that is, I know, for example being, Daniel Everson, is it Daniel Everson? I think it's Daniel Everson that's just gone to Stoke as number 1 on loan for the season from Leicester, ironically. We were in talks with him, but we were in talks with him to come in as a number 2 goalkeeper. The reason he chose Stoke instead of us was because he wanted to be a number 1, and that's why he's gone to Stoke, because he knows he'll play. So if Danny Ward does come in, is that definitely to be a number 1? We don't know, do we? We don't know the plan. So people are, and as I say, I don't think Danny Ward will come. He might do, and if he does, then I trust the manager, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's coming in to take the number 1 shirt. I think we'll still be in the market for another top goalkeeper. The latest name doing the rounds is a Polish goalkeeper, Majecki, however you pronounce his name. And that's not come from the club. That's come from people in the Ramblers chat that know people at the club and things like this. So this is where how far and wide the rumours spread, that there's more names being chucked into the mix. I know that we've asked about Victor Johansson at Rotherham, which may well excite a load of people, which is great, but he's probably one of 20 goalkeepers we've asked about. So it doesn't mean Sheffield United are definitely going to sign Victor Johansson. I wish it did, but I don't think it does. So the general overall message is woosah. Woosah, as they say on Bad Boys. We can't get too caught up in some of these rumours. I think the business we've done so far is what's best for the club. And we've got to only work on what's actually being done rather than what's rumoured. We can't be all panicking because there's a goalkeeper potentially coming in that not a lot of us rate. Danny Ward, for example, and this is me playing devil's advocate a little bit, but when he were at Liverpool on loan at Huddersfield, granted, I think it was about 5 years ago, but he was fantastic. Really, really good. I think Leicester signed him for 12.5 million or something. So there might be a player in there. I'm not saying there is, and I'm not saying he should be a number 1 in the Premier League. But what are we doing? Are we looking at potentially getting him on a free, and we get a decent goalkeeper in on loan for 6 months, and if we go down, he then becomes our number 1? I don't know. But as I say, I'm not convinced he comes in anyway, so I won't panic too much. But what else do we know? We know that Ollie Arblaster's come back from Port Vale. He's carrying an injury, unfortunately, but should be fit towards the end of the month, like Chris Wilder were alluding to. It's been rumoured already that other clubs are wanting to take him on loan, and that I would be okay with that if it was Championship. But it's rumoured to be Derby was the name I heard mentioned. But again, it's silly season, isn't it, with the rumours? So we don't know. We honestly don't know what's happening with that. Louis Marsh, our young prodigy, this striker who is going to be some player for Sheffield United. He's unfortunately suffered a second injury whilst out on loan at Donny. And because of that, we've cancelled the loan. So Louis Marsh is back with us. And another surprising loan that's been terminated, and we speculated, we're in 2 camps, I think, in Ramblers chat. Harry Boys has been recalled from Wickham, and he is our left wing back. Now, he's been seen for some time as a real prospect. and somebody who will likely rival Reece Norrington-Davies for our left wing back if we're going to play 3 at the backs, maybe even left back, but I would say left wing back spot. I'm glad we're doing this live because last time on my midfielder video that was recorded, I talked about Harrison Neal being sent out on loan to a reasonable level and it'd be make or break. Well, it was pointed out rightly in our chat that Harry Boyes is 22 now. So if he's only been performing at League One level, he probably needs second half on loan in Championship this season just to see where he falls at that level. Is it going to be make or break for Harry Boyes? Or some are thinking it may be another Harrison Neal type deal where we've recalled him because we've had a bid for him and we're going to sell him and we're going to take in some finance or a hefty sell on and rejig the squad about a little bit. So we'll see. Does he come in because of despite us having 3,000 left wing backs, I think we've only got about 2 available, haven't we? So really interesting with that. There's some rumours in terms of outs. It's rumoured heavily that Luke Thomas will be going back to Leicester. I think that's a smart move. I don't think he's a terrible player, but it hasn't quite worked for us. He's certainly not first or even second choice for us at left back, left wing back. And I think because it's such a vital second domestic loan, he has to go back and he has to free up that space for us. The other one that's flip-flopped a little bit, for a long time it looked like Jebo wasn't going to sign a deal with United and it all went very quiet. People aren't really sure where he is or what he's up to. The Prince then confirmed in our interview that Jebo is one of the players that they're speaking to and hoping to agree a new deal. It's come out that Chris has visited Dan Jebison with his parents. I think Chris Wilder himself said in the presser that Dan Jebison sees his future at Sheffield United. Great. We thought that had turned a corner then. It's obviously what is indicated to the manager because the manager wouldn't have said that otherwise. But then today, again, silly season. Rumours run rife about he's going to some of the top clubs in Europe. I'm a little bit split on this because while I would like us to tie down a credible asset, a player that has got a lot of positive qualities and could go on to be some player, I also, by the same token, wouldn't be heartbroken to see him leave. It's not like an Illiman situation for me. It may be similar in terms of his contract, but it's not like an Illiman situation in terms of if this player leaves, everything crumbles around us, because I don't think it quite does with Jebo. Although it would be a shame to see such a promising youngster leave, I do have faith in some of the options that we've got in Willis Sula, Louis Marsh. Ryan One is playing for under-18s tonight. He looks like a man against boys at the minute. I mean, he hasn't scored tonight as far as I'm aware, but he got a hat-trick for under-21s midweek or at the weekend. Just really, really strong. So I'm confident in that position. Talking about strikers, we've just seen quite a loose rumour, to be honest, on Rhian Brewster potentially going to Birmingham. Shout out to Billy for raising that in our Ramblers chat, but we're not convinced of the source, are we? But I suppose that begs the question: Would you be happy to see Rhian Brewster go out on loan for the second half of the season? Because I think I would. I think I would be quite happy with that in terms of getting him a good run of games and hopefully getting some consistency and fitness back. So, yeah, I wouldn't be against that at all. And it frees up another space in the squad if we're going to do some more business. So the general message is don't panic. Do not panic. I think, there's so many different options we can still run with. If we do get this Polish keeper, for example, and the only place I've heard it mentioned is in our Ramblers chat. But if we do get this lad, then we can bring in, if we cancel Thomas's loan, we can bring in another domestic loan. So there's talk of Michael Keane coming in our Ramblers chat because he's a name that's been flying about all over the place. Whether we've spoken to him or not, don't know. But there's loads of options that we can go with it. So in terms of panicking and what's going to happen here, we're 10 days in. We're a third of the way through. I know we need a lot of work on this squad, but you know what our manager's like. He will be on it all the time. And I'm confident that we'll have a much better squad coming out of this window than we had going into it. And that should be the aim for every club, shouldn't it? So I've gone on long enough now, but it's more of a cry for calm a little bit. But we'll see how that goes down. So Stephen starts us off. Up the Ramble. Eager Jimmy, eager to find out if there's any new rumours and get on the blower to the Prince and tell him to cancel that Danny Ward bid, as we don't want another Leicester outcast. Wow. Robert Ash, thank you, pal. Welcome to the Ramblers Club. Thank you for that. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the support. It means an awful lot. Chirac, we've already given you the time of day, pal. You're welcome. Can't see what an upgrade it is to bring in Ward, says Kipper. I think we touched on that one as well. Evening, Jimmy, says Daz. Same as most on here. Do you think there may be a surprise in store? Or is that wishful thinking? I think we had a little nibble at Illiman, and there were some initial discussions in terms of a surprise. But it don't look like it's going to happen. He's gone to AFCON now, Antti, obviously, and I'll be surprised to see Illiman rock up if that's what people are hoping for. I don't think many people expected it to happen. But yeah, I don't think the keeper that we end up signing, because I'll be amazed if we don't sign a goalkeeper, but the keeper we end up signing, I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't been mentioned yet, because it's someone we're being so, you know, it might get to a point where we have to go further down the list. But at the moment, why don't we just assess our options and go for the best one? Evening, Aidan. I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you are too. Just wondering, who are you in favour of for goalkeeper at the minute? Also, what's your thoughts on Thomas being sent back? Well, I think up the Ramble, top man. I think Thomas needs to go back. We're oversaturated at left wing back, and we need that space back for a domestic loan. I would like to go. I feel disloyal to Mike Cooper because he's my favourite Championship goalkeeper, no doubt about it. But I just think in terms of consistency and being injury-free, because Cooper's again down with another injury, unfortunately, I think Victor Johansson's got to be the one that we look at. But I don't. It's easy. I'm only limited in what I can suggest in those sort of positions. If it's true that we're going for this kid who's played for Polish national team, he's only 24. He's out of contract to end at season. He's at Monaco currently, but he's not. I think he's been on bench most of the season, so he's second choice at Monaco, who are a big club in France, obviously. I don't know anything about him, but our scouting team should. And he may be better than Victor Johansson, or we may be able to get him on a similar deal, but he's on less wages, or what? It might have a stronger upside. He's slightly younger, so I'm limited in what I can suggest. But in the players I know of, I would say Victor Johansson is our best bet. But we will likely dip into the foreign market for some of our signings, and I couldn't have told you anything about Traore or Slimani or Larouci before, so. Yeah, that's who I'd go for, mate. But I'm not necessarily expecting him to just stick to the domestic market. Oh, Pasula can kick on, says Daz. Not expecting too much from the lad. Is it the Premier League? But he's off and running. Yeah, it is the Premier League. But I agree. I think if we do go down next season, which obviously it's looking quite likely, I think he's going to be some player for us, isn't he? Next year with a bit of confidence under his belt. Hurry up, James. We haven't got all day. Sorry, Sean. Do try and get through everybody, mate. The History of Disco by the Love Dove Project is a new member. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Hope you enjoy the content, pal. And good luck if that's your new project. Dave Leary, top Rambler. Is the lack of outs holding us up right now, or is the usual January situation that everything happens at the end of the window as clubs don't want to let go of players without replacements up the Ramble? I don't think the lack of outs is stopping us particularly. Obviously, we want to have a good balance. I think we'll probably see a few more outs. I'm expecting Fleck to go. I'm expecting Koulibaly to go. If Boys stays with us, I'm expecting Larouci might go, but he may well keep Larouci and send Boys back out to the Championship. So I'm expecting more outs and some more ins, obviously. But when we'll get the ins, I'm not entirely sure. Because it might be, like you said, clubs are waiting. We might have identified who we want, but clubs are waiting on bringing in their own people before they can let our targets go. So there might be something to that, Dave. Ollie says, I think I read this out earlier, but if Danny Ward comes in, that's a joke. He got Leicester relegated. He's now third choice in the Championship. Victor Johansson went to Everton. Who would you sign? I'd go for Mike Cooper at Plymouth, personally. I like Patterson at Sunderland, but I think he'd go for a premium. I think he's well in contract, and Sunderland, you don't get players out of Sunderland cheap. But so I think he's up there with the top keepers in the league. But yeah, Mike Cooper's always been my number one, really. Guys, Jimmy, no doubt this will be quality as... Oh, thank you, pal. Goalkeeper and centre-back are needed for me. Main priority is getting those we want to keep sign new contracts. Absolutely right. Players like George Baldock, John Egan for me. And that, again, will split some opinions. But Brooks, Blaster, tie him down. Reece Norrington Davis. Evening, Jimmy. It's only the 10th of Jan, but starting to think it looks like our business will not be done till last minute. Hope I'm wrong. Up the blades, up the ramble. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, pal. Ian, one of our mods, thank you. Very much appreciated for taking the time. I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking. Listen, we'll check in throughout the month. So we'll keep doing these checkpoints, probably on 20th and then 25th or whatever it might be. And if we're still no movement from then, but we got Burton Diaz after like 2 or 3 days. It's just not very Blade-like, but we did. I'm convinced there's work happening all the time. I'll be more concerned in 5 or 6 days' time if we don't see anybody and we're getting closer and closer to West Ham, because I think we need a new goalkeeper at least before West Ham. We need a goalkeeper to come in straight away. Who will that be? Again, we don't know, do we, Steve? I think we'll maybe test the waters in the foreign market, but I know that we're looking at domestic and foreign, and I know that we're talking to loads of goalkeepers. Loads. We're leaving our options open, and I think we've got the time to do that, even though we need one in. So I get the argument, but no clubs are going to have our pants down, are they? If we go to Rotherham and they say, "All right, you can have Victor Johansson, 10 million quid," what? I'm not saying they've done that, by the way, but if they said that, we could say no chance, because we've got plenty of time now to speak to Kasper Schmeichel, for example. And if Kasper Schmeichel says, "I want 100 grand a week," then we can say no chance. And then we can go and speak to everybody's favourite Danny Ward. And Danny Ward says, "I want 5 grand a week." And we say no chance. But that's, do you know what I mean? I've heard today that Danny Ward, and I think it was somebody in our DC in our chat that was saying he's going to Cardiff, or he's going to Cardiff, Danny Ward. So that'll squash that rumour anyway. But it might be rumoured tomorrow that we're going to go get, God forbid, Cameron Dawson or somebody like that. You know, don't panic. Don't panic until you hear it on the Ramble. And then we'll all panic. No Victor Johansson yet, says Gaza. We're all in the same boat. We want a goalkeeper. We want a goalkeeper. But the thing is, say we get a goalkeeper. If we sign Victor Johansson tomorrow for 5 million quid, loads of us will be really happy. And then 2 days' time, it'll be, this window's been crap. This window's been awful. We need a centre-back. How long have we been saying we need a centre-back? So it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. We need an upgrade all over the pitch, don't we? But goalkeeper is essential. Can't believe we're going for Ward from Leicester, says Danny Boy. Surely there's a better keeper than a third choice one out there. Can't even get in the Championship side, never mind a Prem one. He's not in our Premier League side, is he? He's not in our side because he's not signing for us, or I don't think he is. I'd be amazed. And if he does, he won't be number one. Do you think we can afford a Freddie Woodman? Can't see Ward coming in as the first choice keeper. I think we can afford whoever we want in the Championship to a degree. It's just, like the Prince was saying, if we then go down, say we sign Freddie Woodman for 5 million, like we're offering for Victor Johansson, that's added then to the deficit that we have to sell. We have to sell 5 million more worth of players if we get relegated. So it's a risk versus reward, isn't it? Don't mind a decent centre-back, but for me, an attacking midfielder is paramount. David Brooks. Would you go for David Brooks in the 10? We're talking about that as well. That says it feels like an anticlimax this window. Hit the button if you don't want Danny. Yeah, make sure it's the thumbs up button though. Hit the like button. Yeah, sorry, I missed that bit. Hit the like button if you don't want Danny Ward. Yeah, go on then. I'll have some of that. Do you think we'll go for Danny Ward? No, I don't, mate. No, I don't. And I haven't heard anything. I haven't had any direct discussions with anybody at the club for a number of days now. Need a keeper, centre half, and a midfielder. I think that's best case scenario, isn't it, Danny? I'd agree with you, but I think that's best case scenario. Probably in that order as well. Danny Ward, bloody hell, what are they thinking? Come on, Dino. Stick with Wes rather than that. God save the Blades, I'm panicking. Don't panic. Don't panic. The option to buy says, oh, Lord, Matthew Lord, on Traore makes sense now. If Jebo signs a contract, Traore would be at the back of the pecking order. Still don't like the option to buy. I don't like other clubs having the say in what they do with our players. Because what if Traore goes and gets 15 goals in league? We'll be like, 8 million, please, rather than 4. But it's one of them things, isn't it? That's the deal we've done. Hiya, pal. I'm okay, mate. Hope you are too. Who are you wanting the most in this window? I want a top goalkeeper. And I don't mind if it's Victor Johansson or Mike Cooper, but I would love, my ideal would be a top young goalkeeper on a permanent deal. I think that's the most we can hope for. And then I think, if I'm being greedy, like we've just said, I think we need another centre half. And I think we need a midfielder. I think we have attacking midfielders in McAtee, Hamer and Slimani. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Gaz. I'd agree with that. There's certainly, yeah. But Slimani we've lost to AFCON, haven't we, for a while? If Danny Ward comes in, I'll do a live stream on it, eating my hat, Jimmy. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Billy knows. Evening, Jimmy. There's a centre-back option. What's your opinion on Cameron Carter Vickers? Still great. Is he only 25? No way. No, we've had him before. I think it could be realistic. Blades best Blades content out there. Top man. Thank you, pal. But I'm not a huge fan of CCV, if I'm honest. Can't believe he's still 25. That makes me wow. But I think there's a lot better options out there. I think for the fee that he'd probably command as well, I don't think it'd balance up with other options that are out there as well. But thank you for the kind words, mate. Get O'Hare this January. Cheeky bid may do it. Clark of Sunderland wasn't even in against Newcastle, and that's the quality in this league. He didn't turn up. Would be a risk, especially for the money. Don't get your hopes. Like I'm saying, calm down about goalkeepers. Don't worry about them coming in. Don't worry about Jack Clark coming in, because how Sheffield United have got linked to a £20 million move, I have got no idea. We all know them better than that, don't we? All of us. We are not spending 20 million this window in total, never mind on one player. But Callum O'Hare for your attacking midfield option, yes, please. I think he's our, if we're going to go for him, he's our long-term, probably McAtee replacement. Let Brewster go on loan and get a striker in, says Steve. Absolutely, I'm up for that. Up for that. What are your thoughts on Michael Keane if it happens? I wasn't sold on the idea, but his stats from last season have brought me around a bit. They're pretty decent. I like him. I think he'd do a good job. I saw him in the 3 for Everton. I think he was in the middle of the 3. Can't remember who they were playing, but he played really well. I think he got man of the match that game. Did he score? Somebody might know, but I'm a big fan. One thing that does concern me, because I put a lot of weight in this man's opinion, as I probably should, because that's where I've been brought up. But Andy the Blade, for those that aren't aware, my dad, who was a professional scout for 20 years in the Premier League, is not a fan at all. And that's not saying he wouldn't get behind him if we signed him, he would, but he's a bit not sure. So, look, if he comes in on loan, it's a win-win for me. Maybe with an option to buy if we stay up, because I don't think we're getting anywhere near his wages in Championship, nor would he probably want to stay. But I think it improves us personally. I rate him compared to what we've got. And the rule that we always say is, if they're going to improve you, then they've got to be under consideration, aren't they? No matter what we think, whether we think he's, you know, a good Premier League player or not, if he's better than what we're putting out currently, get him in. I think with Keane now, says Gaz, he's getting in at Everton. If we can get him, that would be a good signing. Yeah, he is getting in now, so I'm not sure it'll happen. I know we've looked into it, shall we say. Got to be honest, Danny Ward seems underwhelming. Can see it happening for the nil connection. Yeah, because Danny Ward's a Welsh international, or he's been in and around the Welsh squad previously, and obviously Alan Neil works with Wales, so I'll know all about him, which gives me a little bit more comfort, if I'm honest, because I think we all know that we all rate Nilly, don't we? I'm genuinely going to have to stop using Twitter if this kind of brain loss keeps happening. Not even sign the lad and people saying he's our worst window ever. I get it though, Bill, and this is what we're going to get, mate. And this is, you know, it sounded very patronising. I didn't mean it to be. People are just excited out there, and as am I, and we all want to jump on and talk about who we could possibly get. And when there's names flying around like Victor Johansson and Kasper Schmeichel, some are really keen on Kasper Schmeichel, and I understand it because he's a big name, won Premier League before. His dad's probably one of the best keepers of all time. Not that that makes a difference to his ability, but I get it. Then when you get chucked to third choice championship keeper, people are like, what? We're getting rid of Wes, who a lot of people still have a lot of time for, and I get that. But it's what people see as not an upgrade. So I understand the uproar, but I'm here to say, we haven't signed him yet. If we signed him and there was uproar, then I could understand it a little bit more. But like Bill says there, we haven't signed him. We haven't even signed him yet. And I'm not sure we will. Supposedly he's wanting to bring two keepers in. That fits with what I've heard as well. I'm not saying I've heard he wants to bring two in. I'm saying he wanted to bring Everson as a number two, which says to me he wants to bring two in without officially saying it. Evening, Rich. I know you've started saying something there, pal. I'd rather have Schmeichel, but you know my feelings about Ward and sticking by it yet. Shout out to Rich, who stuck by his guns and said he wouldn't actually mind if Danny Ward came in. Top man. Stick to your guns, mate. I love that. Chris says, typical measure and reaction based on ignorance and hypocrisy. How many of our experts were against signing Jock, Lundstrom, etc.? None of us are football managers, mate, are we? None of us are experts on anything. But we've all got an opinion, which I will always say is valid. I'm calling him out, but again, I'll state my dad's opinion is probably the one I hold the highest when I'm speaking to people about football and stuff. But you've mentioned Jock there. I remember watching Jock for the first 4 games he signed for United, and we all know where I'm going with this because you'll all have seen it. He was awful. And my dad was even saying, who is this kid that we have signed? What a waste of money this guy is. Useless. Get him out. What's Wilder doing signing him? And Jack O'Connell turned out to be one of our best defenders at modern era, didn't he? How he never got an England call-up were only due to injury. So, yeah, none of us are experts. Some might have, more educated opinions than others, but we're all blades, aren't we? We've all got our own way of, our own players we'd like to sign, our own idea of who's realistic. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, Chris. But it is, I think, an overreaction from some. But we've all got an opinion, haven't we? If Danny Ward comes in and it's the cheaper option with no ambition for the sake of striking a deal with Rotherham for Victor Johansson, yeah, it does feel like a cheaper option, doesn't it, that? Majeki getting a shout out. Yeah, that's come from chat, hasn't it, Bill? You know about it, pal. You all know all about it. I've shouted that out. Gaz, top man. Thank you, pal. Much appreciated. Thank you for the support. No, someone else will sign him. Typical United. I don't know who we're on about there. Does that mean... is that in response to your Victor Johansson? Someone else will sign him. I think we've more chance of signing him this window than next, because I know there's been a lot of talk about him having a relegation release clause and nobody really knows what it is. Some have said 2.5, some have said 4. Whatever it is, if Rotherham go down and he's available for as low as 2.5 million, he's going to have a lot of suitors. So if a Fulham or an Everton, like are rumoured to be interested in him now, come in and we're in the Championship, yes, we might be able to offer him first team football, but Fulham might. Who's to say he's not going to push his way in? I think we need to sign him now while before the vultures start circling and get him early. Steal a march on others. Otherwise, I think we won't be priced out, but we'll be nudged out in summer, I think. Let's not argue, boys. Get Ramsdale back on loan. I wish. Jamie. No, mate, not for me. Listen, Ramsdale is better than... We've not had as good a keeper as Ramsdale since he left. I still think Dean Henderson's better. But the way Aaron Ramsdale left our club, I would rather keep Wes. I'd rather have Adam Davis in goal than Ramsdale. Just, there's a way of going about your business for me, and the lack of respect he showed our club by refusing to play for us. Not for me. Luke's a Blade says, Danny Ward Is he scratcher? Is he better than Wes? Is a head scratcher, I assume that is. Is he better than Wes? Maybe not to some. Maybe not. I haven't seen enough of him. I just remember seeing him do really well at Huddersfield and then do pretty much not a lot since. I know he was very poor for when he replaced Casper, didn't he, initially in Leicester's side, and he was poor. Can't say any other. We need to all get business done before the next game. Get him in now, Wilder, and get the crap out of the door. Sell Nell now and replace, because his value will go down towards the end of the season if we go down. Yeah, I think there's an argument for selling Nell this window, Danny. I do. I'm not totally against it, if I'm honest. And I think they will be trying to get the business done early. Is Keane really on the United radar? What about the Irish lad? Keane is on our radar. But I think that was more towards the beginning of the window. Listen, as I say, I've not spoken to anybody at the club for some time, and I'd be surprised if he wasn't. If he was available, we'll still be talking about him. So it's still a possibility. But like somebody else has pointed out, he's going in at Everton now, isn't he? So it's less likely. The Irish lad, Sam Curtis, is on his way. I think it's more of a technicality that's holding it up. But he's another one that we're excited about. Nearly 200 watching, says Paul. Only 24 likes. Tut, Blade. Show your support. That's right. Thank you. And if you're not already, please do subscribe. It's very much appreciated. Big things coming this year. Big things. Thank you for that, Paul. Evening, Jimmy. Yes, I said that about Danny Ward. We're not better off. Plus, I think Schmeichel is too old. Plus, keep missing you. How do I find out when you're live? I hate missing it. Oh, do you know what? I've forgotten again. Because lads and lasses in chat asked me to put it in the announcement section in the things, and I forget all the time. So apologies. You'll be watching this back now if you haven't caught me live, and I'll get another telling off. But I do forget these things. Best way is if I can see you're a Rambler pal, and if you want to come into our Ramblers chat, then there's an announcement. I always put it on Twitter when I'm going to be going live at some stage. So that's probably where you can find out when we're going. But tap the notification bell, if not, on your subscription, and then YouTube will send you a notification as and when we go live. Wilder needs to phone his best mate Klopp to see if he can lend us Kelleher. Yeah, they're not mates, are they? Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Jeff. Regarding the goalkeeper situation, I think it's smoke and mirrors to take scrutiny off our real target. I think you might be onto something there, Jeff. The voice of reason. Thank you very much. Does this mean Wesley's not going to sign, or is Wilder letting him go? I don't think Wes will sign, personally. I think if you know that I think it's pretty obvious, or it looks to me from the outside looking in, and this isn't, again, with any information, but if you know that somebody's trying to replace you, then, he looks to me like he's had his head down for the last few weeks, Wes, for me. I don't know whether that's form related or because he knows with Wilder coming in, who didn't fancy him before, he knows that his time's limited. I don't think he'll want to be a number 2. So I think he'll be looking at his options, Wes, personally. So I don't think he'll sign a new deal. He might do, because there's still an offer on the table for him, but I'd be surprised. Can't believe people are saying sell Nell. Short memories, in poor form, yes, but still a quality player. Hold on to him till the summer and see what offers we get then. Why sell now? Mad. Billy, I see what you're saying, pal. And in an ideal world, you hold on to your best players, don't you? Nell's not been great this season. I don't think he's looked as good since his first couple of months, and he went down with glandular fever. I think, most people I've spoken to would agree with that. I would love to keep him in an ideal world. If we had 50 million in a war chest and we didn't need the money to bring players in, then I'd be saying, what are we talking about? But people are saying sell Nell to fund permanent transfers to strengthen us in other areas. So if we have to sell Nell to sign a centre-half, Victor Johansson and Callum O'Hare, then some people would see that as a good deal. So I get, and I'm not saying you do, and I'm not saying everybody would, but I can see where the logic comes in for selling Nell. Judda agrees with you, Bill, and says if we sell Nell now, we're defensively broken, if we aren't already. Tom says, evening, Jimmy. Our recruitment team is a problem. and in need of a rethink. Is our recruitment team a problem? Arguably, Anel's only permanent signing to have impressed in several seasons now. Unimpressed with players we're linked with, to be honest. I think we should look for more investment in recruitment over the coming months. I think there will be. That is an area of focus for us moving forward, I think. Great point. Great point, by the way, Tom. Agreed, especially right centre-back. We need an addition there, not sell. Fair dues, David. Understand that. Selling Anel is not an option, in my opinion. Would leave us short, that's for sure. It would. It would. We'd have to bring in an immediate replacement, a bit like the Berger-Hamer situation. And then we need to use that money, because otherwise what's point in selling him if there's not any money left over, to buy other players like a Callum O'Hare, and I'm just throwing these names out, and Victor Johansson, Brooks on loan, maybe it funds that. Who knows? I don't believe the Brum for Brewster news. Have they announced the new manager yet? Yes, they've announced Tony Mowbray at Birmingham, but like Billy says, I think the source is duff, to be honest. So my point in raising that was, don't believe everything you're reading online, because there'll be a lot of guff at the minute. I'd be glad to let him go. He's done nothing and he's too injury prone. I assume you mean Brewster with that. I think we just, a loan would be good, just to see if, give him a final throw of the dice, wouldn't it really, just to get up and running, hopefully. Freddie Woodman at Preston, says Andrew. Yeah, absolutely. David says goalkeeper, right centre-back and a midfielder. Junaid. Wow. York City were looking at Brewster. Hopefully he can grab a few in the conference. Out of order. Out of order. Jamie says Trubin, goalkeeper, would be good from Benfica. Ukrainian lad. Take your word for it, pal. Take your word for it. Just expect for Wilder to be out of the traps to get... Oh, you expected Wilder to be out of the traps to get signings in ASAP. Well over a week in Jan and only one player in. I expected quick changes with players going out and coming in. I'm worried. Don't be worried, pal. Plenty of time to go. The hardest part of January is the beginning of January, as we all know. I think there's still a lot of business to be done. Wonder if we have any scouts at AFCON. We'd be mad not to. Absolutely mad not to. Louis Marsh going back out on loan or just coming back to us to get full fitness? Depends, mate. Depends what offers we get, I think, Kyle. I don't know the plan. I didn't know Harris and Neil were going to be turned around and sent away, essentially. I've not heard what the plan is. Obviously, Louis is a huge part of the future of our club, hopefully. So we certainly see it that way at the moment. So whatever we do with him, we're certainly not going to sell him. It's with the future of the club in mind. So if he can get to some form of fitness before the end of the month, I would be surprised not to see him go back out. If it's deemed that he's not going to be fit for 2 or 3 months and he might spend the last 6-8 weeks with the first team recovering as he gets back to full fitness, then that might be just as good. Danny Boy, no need to worry. Very, very early, says Gaz. Top man. Most teams have done very little so far. I agree. Any news on this young Irish lad, says Wayne? All gone quiet. Because there's no update to it, it seems like it's stopped. And I don't know where we are in the timeline, but I was told it's 99.9% done. We're just waiting on something like official, sort of a technicality, to be the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But that might say that doesn't happen for another 3 weeks. That's going to make people think there's a huge problem with it, and there isn't. It's just a case of when, not if. That's probably the best way of putting it, Wayne. Majecki was someone I always used to sign on footy manager from Legia Warsaw. I don't even know if I've said any of those names right, but fair play, actually. Hope that's a good sign, mate. Would love us to bring in some pace away from we've not enough players. We've not enough players to threaten the other team. Yeah, we do need a bit more pace in the side. I'll gear that. I love the fact that Maka can run at defenders, bring the ball with him, beat him for pace away from home. Yeah. I'm worried there's not going to be much business this Jan. Danny, this isn't like you, panicking like this. Come on, pal. Gone quiet on that Irish kid. All happening. Hope that's answered it for you, Dino. Sad, but time waits for no one. Fleck deserves a better send-off than a quiet exit in the January window, but football is ruthless. Yeah, it is, mate. It is. Boats says, our players like Fabio Carvalho going places because he could have slotted straight in. Because we haven't got a loan spot for a domestic player, have we, at the minute? Would you take Carl Darlow? He's back up at Leeds, isn't he? I know Melier is a good keeper. We won't get him out of Leeds, I don't think, now. I think he's their number 2. And he'll probably play one if Stint Millier gets sent off or something. But I don't mind Carl Darlow, but I don't think he's a Premier League number 1. Evening, pal. We have to be at work by 5. I have doctor's appointments in a couple of minutes, and I have a couple of errands I need done, and I have an errand. I will call you after I drop the kids. Okay. Thanks very much. Hi, Jimmy. I will be happy with Brooks from Bournemouth and Johansson from Rotherham. Me too, Kev. Me too. I think we still need a defender in there. David Brooks is available from Bournemouth. Yes or no? Yes from me. Yes from Boats. Not sure if Danny Ward's good enough, but he could be better with Wes. Sorry, I'm late. Been a madhouse. Don't worry, pal. Is Danny Ward their first keeper or what? Danny Ward. I don't think Danny Ward's coming. William wants Schmeichel. Lee, good evening, pal. Has there been any movement with the young Irish right back Curtis? Sorry, I'm behind on comments, as you can probably tell. Usually happens. Would love David Brooks back. Johansson could still potentially be better than Wes, even though Rotherham are bottom. Johansson is a much better goalkeeper than Wes. And I know they haven't been tested at the same level. But Gaz would bring David Brooks back straight away. Absolutely. I'm going to spin on a little bit, guys and gals, just so I'm not keeping you forever. I'm with you, Jimmy, regarding Jebo. Keep him if we can as an asset. But we have a conveyor of young, impressive forwards coming through the youth setup. Just be a case of next man up. It will. I agree. Get Ryan O'Neill in the first team now, and any other top youth, make him feel wanted so they sign long-term contracts. We waited a year too long to get Illy in the team. There's a balance, though, isn't there? I'm not saying I'm against getting him involved. Ryan O'Neill going to be a star next season for United, says Gaza. I agree. Totally agree on Ramsdale. Rubbish nanas to him, says Dean. Just click the bell for notifications, says Daz. Love that. Gaz, sorry. Love that. I know he's spoken about it a lot as he's a Blade, but Jay Socic at Luton Blades Analytic on Twitter, for those of you that don't know, Jay has done really well. Could we go in for him or someone like him, create a director of football role or something to oversee long term? Jay Socic, for those that aren't aware, is a data analyst that first gained a little bit of notoriety, I suppose, in the Blades community on Twitter, where he would analytically break down players and targets, and this is the man I think we should go for. And there's a few people trying to replicate that now on Twitter, but nobody's quite got to the level that Jay did. He then started appearing on Blades Pod with Ben, and it was a really fantastic co-host, to be fair. I used to love listening to him. And then he got picked up by Peterborough, Darren McAntony, who's always ear to the ground, knows where to spot a bargain, did really well at Peterborough, and Luton picked him up. And now I think he's quite high up in their recruitment department, and he's a Blade. So top lad Jay, always been really nice whenever I've spoken to him, and I would love to see him, not because he's a Blade, because he's very talented. And I think it fits like a glove. I don't know if a director of football would be the role for him, but maybe as excuse me, as like a senior analyst or however they badge him up, I don't know. But I think he'll be an asset to us, Billy. Yeah, I do, mate. I know we have Mitchell, but it feels like it's an area where we can improve on, strengthen, or expand, and we are looking at that, from what I understand. Do you think, Jimmy, about poaching from the dark side of Sheffield for Cadamartri? He looks a proper decent player. What we can improve under Wilder, plus the fact it would drop the pigs in it. I would nick Cadamartri from him tomorrow, just because it strengthens us, weakens them. Stick him in under 18s. You know, I don't mean that to damage the player, but he's not going to get in our first team, is he? You know, send him out on loan to Championship. Send him to Rotherham. Can you imagine? Brilliant. I think we need a big lump at centre-back. We're getting bullied with Trusty and Jackie Longthrow. Agree there, mate. Says Gaz needs someone good in the air, that's for sure. John says, let's get De Gea in. Absolutely, yeah. And that's his budget blow. Sell an L, get De Gea in for 6 months. That's budget gone. I know, Gaz says, if only. Right, I've finally caught up, so I'm going to leave it there. 50 minutes. You'll see plenty of me over the next few weeks, so please don't think I'm ditching you or anything like that. But Thank you to everybody that's joined me tonight. I know we all love talking about Sheffield United, all news and rumours, and I will be back. But yeah, if you've not already, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. We will get in that garage before end of year. That will be our YouTube studio, and we will then level up. It's going to happen. You say it enough times, it'll happen. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!
Gustavo Homer into the top corner. John Egan! What a goal from George Bulldog!